Today marked the first time in years that Trump and Cohen came face to face.
Cohen, who was once Trump's attorney and fixer, was called to the stand to give an insider account about those hush money payments that are the spotlight of the trial. He's expected to be on the stand for several more days.
And Fox 5's Morgan Mackay joins us live from outside of the courthouse in Lower Manhattan with more on Cohen's testimony today. Morgan.
Bianca, Natasha, Michael Cohen sat on the witness stand facing former President Donald Trump and described how when Trump was pleased with his work, it made him feel like he was on top of the world. It was like working for a big family. But Cohen's testimony today does not come without risks. A catastrophic threat is how Michael Cohen described Stormy Daniels' alleged sexual encounter with former President Donald Trump. Cohen, who is seen as the prosecution's star witness in Trump's criminal fraud trial, took the stand, describing calmly how he was at one time Trump's loyal fixer and would have done anything to make the, quote, boss happy. Cohen started by detailing when he learned of Playboy model Karen McDougal, who is alleging that she had an affair with Trump. Although this alleged affair is not at the heart of this criminal case, prosecutors used it to show Cohen only acted with Trump's approval. Cohen at one point secretly recorded a conversation with Trump discussing how they would reimburse the former publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, who had bought McDougal's story to keep her quiet.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up.
Later in 2016, Cohen learns that adult film star Stormy Daniels was looking to sell her story about her alleged sexual encounter with Trump. Cohen testified that Trump told him, quote, just to take care of it. Cohen then opened an account with First Republic Bank to pay Daniels $130,000 for the lifetime rights to her story. But as shown in evidence here, Cohen admitted to falsely describing the nature of the company in order to hide this payment to Daniels. Prosecutors allege that Trump reimbursed Cohen for this payment to Daniels by falsely logging 11 checks, 11 invoices, and 12 vouchers as legal expenses, equaling the 34 felony counts of falsifying business records that Trump is charged with. Meanwhile, during Cohen's testimony, Trump tempered his reactions, leaning back in his chair at times to close his eyes. But in the hallway,
this trial is rigged. It's dishonest.
Now, Cohen says that he at one time asked Trump what his wife would think about all these alleged sexual encounters, and Trump said that he was more worried about his campaign, saying, quote, don't worry, how long do you think I'll be on the market for? Not long. Now, Cohen will be back on the stand tomorrow. Reporting live, I'm Morgan Mackay. Bianca, Natasha, back to you.
All right, Morgan, thank you so much for that.